Alright, I've got a real short video for y'all today. So obviously this video is going to be about, is it better to just kind of focus on getting a solid reading foundation in Japanese and then kind of worry about the listening later, or should you do both, or just focus purely on listening, right? Because it's immersion method. So I'm going to kind of go into this, right? Is reading actually more effective, right? So you might have seen like a Reddit post maybe like 3 years ago or so about a dude who passed JLPT N1 in, I think it was 9 months, 8.5 months, right? Passed JLPT N1. And I remember reading the post about a year ago, right? I think it's gone now, but this dude essentially, right, he spent, I think, 1,500 hours on reading and only 500 hours on listening, and he got a perfect score on the JLPT N1. And the method he used was, it's called like the Moe method, the Moe way, something like that, right? The Moe way. And I looked into it a bit. It mostly involves just reading like visual novels and light novels, right? Personally, I like manga a lot more, but the thing is with this, right? Generally, this dude's main tip, right, was just that he would really kind of break down each sentence, really made sure he understood each part, right? Took his time on each sentence and really went slow at the beginning and didn't cut corners. And then eventually that kind of compounds over time, right? It ramps up, your reading gets a lot better, and then eventually it gets to the point where you can read really fast, you know all the kanjis and stuff, right? So generally, you want at the start, you want to be spending a lot of time reading, right? You want to take note of the nuances, you want to be like focused, present, right, when you're reading. And when you're stuck on something, right, you've got the dictionaries, right? You've got Yomitan, which I highly recommend using. It's just like a browser extension, where basically you just like highlight a word when you see it, like on the internet, and then it'll give you a little pop-up dictionary right then and there, right? It saves a lot of time. But basically, once you become kind of reading dominant, right, you've got this surplus of hours in reading, right? 1,500 hours to 500 hours of listening, right? That's like a, I don't know, like 4-to-1 ratio, right? I'm not good at math, but once you become reading dominant, the whole idea from this is that you're basically completely fluent in reading the language, right? And then you go purely onto a listening stage. Why? Because it's a lot easier to start out when you can read and you can take your time and really parse the language, understand how it works, and then go on to pure listening, which is a lot harder, right? Because it's a lot faster, it's a lot more nuanced. People slur, people stutter, as with like looking at written language, right? Besides like a font, like the characters are gonna genuinely generally kind of look the same. I can't speak. But my advice to you, right, if you're watching, my guess is that you're a beginner, find whatever kind of material you enjoy, right? For me, that's manga. And then also, this isn't a excuse to kind of neglect all listening, right? Use passive listening while you read, right? Have that stuff on all the time. Podcasts, like you can find just YouTube live streams. Recently, I've just have Japanese YouTube live streams on 24/7 because it gives you a lot more like natural language and stuff. And then but you don't want to fully go down this kind of reading path and be like, I'm not going to worry about listening at all. Like, no, that's not how it works. I still think you should do listening immersion too. I just think that when you're a beginner, especially if you've got more time to kind of be focused on the nuances of it and reading and taking your time and knowing what you're actually reading, right, it's going to take you a lot further, even if it's a lot slower, right? The whole thing with AJAT, it's not even, AJAT's really just a test of discipline. Honestly, at the end of the day, with all the people who I've talked to who have gotten fluent, after 4, 5, 6 years of doing this, they say like, it's honestly, learning Japanese is it's completely useless unless you live in Japan or have Japanese friends, right? And the biggest thing they really got from AJAT was just the discipline. So my advice to you, find whatever kind of thing you enjoy, right? If listening is way too hard for you, you can't do on like just anime with no subtitles, right? Find your niche, the kind of thing you like. Use the passive listening, don't neglect it, and then just lock into the reading. Really take your time, don't speed through it, okay? So that's all I have for this video. I hope you got some value out of that, and yeah,